Welcome back. We've got a 2009 V6 Camry and the air conditioner is not working. The symptom is you push the button on the dash to start the air conditioner, the round button, and it stays on for a split second, or it appears it does. The compressor may or may not be kicking in for a second and then not working. And we saw this behavior happen more in warm weather than in the cooler weather. So at the end of last season, the air conditioning started acting up, but then it started working again as soon as we got some cool days. So during the winter in Georgia, you have occasional warm days, so it worked all winter and spring. And then here in the first week of June, it started doing the same thing, and then totally went out, and it's not working right now. So we tested a few things. We tested the magnetic clutch relay, MGC, and it's not bad. We put a good known one in there, and it's doing the same exact thing, so it's not that. But that could be one of the things that you can try. Those are only about $6 on Amazon, and I'll try to put some links down below. Another thing that I know now that it was under pressure, so it wasn't a matter of the system not being under pressure from a leak or something. This right here is the high pressure switch, which I suspected may be bad. And the way that you can test these, and I did, is there's 3 wires here. You've got a blue wire is the ground. The purple wire is your reference of 5 volts, and should be a consistent 5 volts when the car's running. And then the red wire should fluctuate anywhere between about 1 volt and 4 volts. And I know all this because I researched. I popped these plugs out right here, these rubber plugs, and then you can get your multimeter on that and you can check all that. So what was happening is that red wire is supposed to fluctuate when you turn on the air, because this is a high pressure switch that's making sure that there's not too much high pressure in the system. And apparently that's supposed to fluctuate, and it doesn't. It stays about 1.85 volts. That red wire stays that the entire time that you're trying to do anything, which is an indicator it could be bad. So learn from my mistakes. The procedure to do this on the Camry, at least, is that this is an integral part of the system. When you open this up, air conditioned coolant and oil, lubricant will go everywhere, and that's exactly what happened. So I had a blowout and a big green cloud of the UV dye and everything, and I stepped back so it didn't really get on my face. So don't do that. You want to either know what you're doing here or take it to a professional. Now, you could wrap a rag around that and loosen it up to where it barely starts to leak and wait for it to leak out. And that's not recommended because that's against the law in most places to let coolant go out. But there's a way to recover your coolant. And, of course, I didn't have any chance to do that yesterday because I thought that some of these systems have a Schrader valve on there. So when this connects, the Schrader valve is present. So if your car is a different model and stuff like that, check, because you might be able to take this pressure switch off, which I did with a very large pair of adjustable wrench, and had to hold another wrench here because this is flimsy, as you can tell, and basically lost all the coolant. And that's what you have to lose or pump down the coolant anyway, because to change this out. So now we're left in a situation here that, well, while we didn't do it according to specs, it is now pumped down, or the coolant's out of it. To get this off, you squeeze that and pull, and I can't do it with one hand. It's easy enough to do with 2 hands, though. So there's other alternative methods you might see. You could dip this in water to try to give some resistance across here, but that did not reliably work for me, and it could in fact damage your system because the resistance has to be a specific resistance. So once you have pumped the system down, or it's leaked out by other means, this will come off and it's not that easy to take off. I've just got it on here to protect the system right now. And because it's a hot day now, it's been sitting in the sun, there's a little bit of gas still in there, so not much. You could hear it barely leaking out. So I lost some of the lubricant. So the recommendation, if you lose some of the lubricant, is to get this lubricant, the PAG 46, with UV dye in it. That's what blew out everywhere. And so the recommendation is that you only put about 1 to 2 ounces or 1 to 3 ounces back in there, depending on how much you think you lost. I mean, it's really that much guesswork involved here. So we're going to put in just over an ounce into that hole. And I've got, through the magic of Amazon overnight, I've got a replacement of this. This part is over $200 to $300 from Toyota, and you can get a part that is gets good reviews to fit it for under $15 on Amazon. So try that out and see if that works for you, and let's compare the parts side by side. Here's the Denso part from Toyota. That was the original one in there. It looks a little bit different. Actually, the aftermarket one looked more robust with a bigger gasket, just at first glance. Flip it over. It's got some random part number on there that matches this part number. That's not the part number from Toyota. Look down below and I'll show you which one I bought. This doesn't need anything on it, like pipe threads or anything, pipe thread tape. You'll just screw that in there. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to try to pour about an ounce of this down into the system through the open port that I have now. So I guessed at it, 1/8 of this would be 1 ounce, since it's 8 ounces, and I put in a little over 1 ounce, I believe. If it won't settle in, you can run a small clean zip tie down it very carefully. You don't want to get any foreign matter down in there or strip that off. So don't do that past the point of resistance, but that might get an air bubble to come up and let that in. Now I'm going to put in the new pressure valve. Righty-tighty. I'll wipe this off. And I have just a little bit of lubricant on my finger, so put just a little bit on there. And then once this is on there, you want to get it fairly tight, and you want to do it with a pair of, you probably have to do like me and get an adjustable wrench if you don't have a open-ended wrench that fits that. Let's go ahead and identify a couple more things here. This is the high side port. And the low side port is actually down in here. See this dipstick? Follow that dipstick down and you see that black cap? That's the high side port, and it's hard to reach if you leave this on. So we're gonna pop this out with a screwdriver, that, etc., etc. And we're gonna take that off. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, I actually have the right tool. I forgot I had the right tool for that, but you can use a screwdriver. The right tool enables you to come up under there and lift it uniformly like that. I'm not taking this part off, that's just an example of what I did. And now we can come in here and take the port cover off. Just unscrew it, simple as that. You'll have a nice clean port. You can still wipe it with a clean rag. And because I'm going to probably hook up gauges to both sides, I'm going to take off the high side port. I'm going to leave that cover just laying there. Do the same thing for that to keep trash out of it. And I'm going to go figure out my gauges. Alright, here's a brand new set of gauges I got on Amazon. Quick tip here. You can go to your local O'Reilly's or other auto parts store that have loaner. They charge you the full price on your credit card, then they return it for the vacuum pump and for anything else that you might need for this job. However, I had a terrible experience going to one of those places here lately, and I'm not going to just pick on the name, but the tool was all broken. $40-something. You can get your own and know everything's pristine and in the box. And the vacuum pump too. A lot of these are sold as a kit. So for $100 you can get $100 to $130 or so. You could get a vacuum kit with hoses, or separate, the hoses, gauges, and a vacuum kit. That's why I'm doing this with brand new stuff. So Here's the pump I bought, vacuum. Before you use these, you need to run them with oil, and they come without oil in them. So you need to take off the cap and pour oil in it up to the midway point of that window. And even if you rent these, that's what you need to do. Secondly, if you rent these or if you own one, you always store it straight up, because if you tip it over, that vent cap will drain the oil out and it will make a mess everywhere. Alright, we've got that filled up to the halfway line. You can see the fluid there. It took almost that whole bottle. Put your cap back on, make sure your washer's in place, your O-ring. And you take that vent cap off before you start. And that's why it'll leak if it tips over, because there's nothing that keeps that oil in there. Now your hoses just click on here. See the ball bearing hookups and everything? They're easy, quick connects. You pull that back and put that down. And then you do the same thing with the low side that's down there. We got everything hooked up. The high side high, the low side low. Those will only connect to one thing, by the way. We've also put our color-coded hoses where they go here. We tighten them up with, these have these plastic things on there that will actually let you tighten them good. Yellow hose is on the middle. Yellow hose is on your vacuum pump. It'll only fit on one of these two ports. They're two different sizes. And now you want to fully open, to create that vacuum, you want to fully open both of these. That's where you want them to start. Okay, now those are fully open. And then your ports here, if you have them here, you also want these fully open. And once you do that, you want to turn on your vacuum. Now I got something to put the vacuum on because it's going to run for 20 to 30 minutes and I don't want it to go anywhere, so hopefully this will work. I'll take this air vent off because that's what it says to do. And then turn your vacuum on. So don't be confused, it's not that complicated really when you get your mind wrapped around it. Right now you've got everything open, so the suction's being created into this vacuum, and it pulls down to 28, negative 28 over here on your gauge. Mine only reads PSI on this side, so you want to let that in. It's creating a vacuum, so it dropped from 0 down to negative 28 right away when I turned mine on. And you turn it on basically by plugging it up or turning the switch on back there. Now you want to let this run for about 20 minutes. The longer you let it run, the better, because it's removing moisture in there. So what you want to do once that's done is you want to leave those valves in the open position, but you close these. And when you close these valves, it's isolating to where it's going to check for leaks in the system. And that way you'll see if that needle moves. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes and we have closed this side, we have closed this side, leaving that open and that open. And now we're going to turn off the pump and we're going to see if that number holds. It is 28.5 or 29. So if that holds in that exact spot, we know we don't have any leaks. Okay, so that held. With these still closed, you can take your vacuum off. And now we're ready to charge. Now you're ready to charge. In your kit with your gauges, you got a can tap. You'll screw that on tight, and then you'll screw on this. And with your, mine had a thumb screw. I've got that good, nice and tight. Now, before you screw this onto the can, make sure that your can tap is all the way up, loose. It hasn't been tapped yet because that can has a seal in it. Now that it's all hooked up, I'm going to screw that down a little bit and I'm going to tap the can. But here's the thing that you want to do, is that you want to leave these closed, and you want to purge the line right here. In other words, it's going to slightly flush that line. So once I tap the can, I'm going to have this pressurized, and I'm going to take my thumb screw here, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to loosen this up just a hair until I hear it hiss, and I'm going to tighten it up. That makes sure that only refrigerant is going to enter your system. Alright, here's an update. The compressor kicked down, which is good, but it wasn't that easy. I actually added 1 can of the coolant, and then it didn't take the second can. I couldn't get the compressor to kick on by turning the car on, but I did let it settle for a while. I kept checking my gauges until they got about equal, and then say they were at about 120 on both sides. I let it sit there for about 30 minutes off, car off and everything. So then it came back out, and because the compressor would not kick on, and getting your compressor to kick on and get it to take more of the coolant, the car, when I started it, the AC did come on and it stayed on, and then I got it to take more coolant, and I think it took all this can. I think I lost some of the other can, so this holds about just less than 18 ounces, and this together would be 24 ounces, so it's about right now. The inside reading is 60 degrees on the, I'll show you that in a minute, and then the outside reading is what you see here, 34 on one side, so that's dropped some, and that is at 210, 215. You don't want it to go above 250, that's danger zone. So I'm happy that light's no longer blinking. I have to take a few readings to catch the air. There's 62. There's 59, that's the lowest I've seen. And keep in mind I'm not driving yet. 58. 58. So I'm going to shut my gauges down. I'm going to shut the ports off, and then I'm going to disconnect everything safely and put the caps on, and I'm going to give it a test drive. I'm going to put these caps back on, and I'm going to take it for a test drive and see how it does down the road and back. After because, you know, air conditioners get cooler as they're able to have air movement on them. I put these plugs back in where I tested the voltage on that, so I'm good to go on that. I'm going to put that plastic shroud back on a little later just to make sure I have enough coolant in there. Well, I drove it a little ways, and I want to give you an update before 38 degrees. Do you realize that today in Georgia it is 84 degrees? So, wow, we're going to call this a win. That's after driving a little bit. 37, because as you drive the car it gets colder. 34, that is insane. That is fixed. If you like this video, I make similar videos about this Camry. I make them about my FJ Cruiser. I make them about fixing my pool and things like that. You will save money if you watch my channel. You'll learn how to learn. And guys, don't be afraid to use AI as a helper on things. I do think it was that pressure switch after all, and here's why. Because yesterday when I pulled that pressure switch, there was so much pressure in the system, there's no way it was too low to run the compressor. So that is how to replace that pressure switch. I can confirm that has to be the case, that it was bad, and now we're back in business here, no longer a flashing light. Alright, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Click down below for some of the parts that I used, and I'll get a few pennies from Amazon if you use any of those links, even if you buy something else. Thanks for watching.